Hey everybody, what's up? I'm Zach. I'm here with my co-host Aaron.
What it do?
You're listening to A to Z episode 75.
Hot dang. Today's guest is Tyler Troutman, host of the Tyler Knows Everything podcast.
It's like they're trying to be too meta.
We're gonna make them an offer they can't refuse.
Much better.
Yeah. You can
buy you a drink. You can't just not
well, I mean, he did pick out somebody we know.
Well, you sidestep the question. That technology does not exist.
If this is your first time listening, thanks for checking us out. A to Z is a Southeast Texas local podcast with new episodes out kinda weekly on all major podcast platforms. But you can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram where we post updates, clips, and extra content.
Also, don't forget about our Facebook groups, A to Z Podcast Group and A to Z Movie Night, The Groupening, where you can talk with other listeners, former guests, talk with us directly, and share funny memes and stuff.
Definitely about the memes. Plus, we also do live streams on there. We do game nights now sometimes, and we also do movie night.
We're just doing all kinds of stuff.
All kinds of things, diversity. But today we're going to be talking to Tyler Troutman.
Yeah, so former guest. He was one of the first that we ever had on.
Mm-hmm.
Funny thing was he got in contact with us to try to sponsor us. That's how supportive he used to be.
All right, well, it was a trick of his.
It was a trick. We get into his little ploys and things he has and stuff like that, and being an entrepreneur, being a hustler, going out getting that bread.
Yeah, but here we are a year later. He's been planning on doing this for a while, and now he's finally on a roll. He's several episodes deep. He releases them every Saturday, and it's a really cool thing. He kind of does a conversational thing like we do, but he talks to much more a specific type of business.
A lot of it's like
guests.
kind of motivational. It's people that make you feel lazy. At least that's what it does with us.
For sure. But
and it's also it's a much different episode than his first one.
Yes.
So don't worry about it being a retread. It is completely different.
Yeah, we're talking about podcasting in general, talking about the area, talking about all that good stuff. But if you like this episode, tell your friends about it. Tell Tyler, hit him up, go check out his show, and just enjoy this episode with Tyler Troutman.
Tyler
knows
everything.
Pre-studio renovation was 1.5.
I think we're at 2.0.
We're headed to 2.0.
We're headed to 2.0. I think full.
No, I think we're headed to like 2.5 because getting here was 2.0.
I guess so.
Having the studio is 2.0. Yeah, and after renovation, it'd be 2.5, and then if we do another, it'd be like 2.7, and if we move into another building, that's gonna be 3.0.
3.0 would be a new space.
A new space
or a bigger space.
Yeah.
I would say 2.75 will be air conditioning.
Yeah, I think so. That's definitely going to be one.
Yeah, that would be cool because that was the whole purpose of coming here.
Yeah. Where are we going to go if we do 3.0?
I have no idea. To the moon, man.
Yeah, we almost need like a shared. There's so many creators.
Yeah,
you almost
really
need like
is.
a collaboration on. Which there kind of is right now. It's
Yeah.
kind of a pass through, but yeah, it would really get a cool place.
I would like one of those, like a good high part of one of the buildings downtown, maybe.
I know. I would love
a
that.
building.
Good view.
There is a building downtown that's actually really cheap and has a lot of space in it. Do you know? But it's only one story.
Mm-hmm.
It's that building that's directly across from Suga's.
Okay.
Have you seen it? It's kind of got like that A-frame shaped roof.
Yeah.
And it's white building.
Right.
And it's got the palms in front of it. That's a big building. You know how much that building's running for? It's for sale. It's for sale for $40,000.
Wow.
Yeah,
whole building.
I don't see that. That's probably not.
That's like a truck.
It's a truck. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not even an expensive truck.
Yeah, but it's like a $40,000 truck that you have to put
yeah, you got to
several
drop a
hundred thousands
buttload
of dollars into it to make it viable, right?
No, it's already an office. It's an office building just like the one we're in now.
There's
It
got to
would
be
the
like a
same
broom
thing.
closet in
Yeah.
Edison Plaza that has a window
Yeah.
that just nobody needs because
That's kinda-
it's too small for them, but just right for us.
That's
There's-
kind of what I'm hoping
I'm gonna have
for.
to go exploring.
Go exploring. Yeah,
Have you ever
figure it out.
seen what's on top of Edison Plaza?
Oh yeah.
Mm-mm. I
It's
haven't seen
a
that.
courtyard.
Oh yeah, they have
Yeah.
like plants and stuff.
Yeah,
up there?
so Jason's Deli headquarters, and then Clay Dugas and Jefferson Energy, they're the top floor holders. So you have to get off the elevator and then go to a separate elevator to get to the top floor. Because it used to be like Energy executives up there.
Yeah.
And now it's that. And all of their three offices surround this courtyard that's like a green space, like trees and foliage. And it's not really good for having a an event up there because it's only the outside. Because we looked into renting it for a party we were considering doing Jefferson Theater, and because Jefferson Theater surprisingly,
you said it's quite affordable.
It's not that expensive.
Yeah, $800 for an entire event.
Yeah,
which is good considering what you could do in there, what you could use it with.
Yeah.
And it was pretty comparable for Edison Plaza, and you kind of get like the lobby, you get upstairs, and nobody's ever done it before. Nobody's ever done an event up there. So if somebody did an event, it would be the first one.
Yeah.
And you would tell people like, hey, we're meeting at Edison Plaza, and you have kind of like a door guy lead you to the elevator, like, oh, we're going to the roof.
Yeah.
You're out, it's outdoors, open. Really cool.
You don't want to give all your ideas away.
Man, one of my favorite bars I've ever been to in the world was there was this bar in downtown LA I went to that was just called Perch. So it's got a little bird for a logo. So basically, it's a rooftop bar.
Yeah.
And you get in the elevator, and the first elevator guy tells you, "Hey, there's a dress code here. Oh, you're good. Go to the first level." And you go there. First level's really big, has an inside portion, but the entire outside is like a rooftop deck in downtown. And then there's another elevator you can get onto, and the guy will tell you if you're dressed good enough to go to the next level. There's 3 roofs.
Wow.
So you can go to the very tippy top, but you got to be like pretty swank.
And I wanted to do that, but of course everybody would get through. But I have like a person there with a clipboard that just kind of makes you feel like you're not in Beaumont.
Makes you feel like you're part of the exclusive. Yeah.
And if you had 4 people splitting it, it's like $200 to rent.
Yeah, it'd be a good party.
Split it 4 ways. Split
Not
it
a bad
5.
idea. With all these new shows coming out, we've been
Yeah,
thinking
maybe
about
we
doing some
should-
kind of pod fest.
Yeah, if you had a launch party up there, oh man, it'd be the first event, and you take each show.
Well, speaking of launches, I guess we can talk about like while we're talking to you again. You've
We can launch this episode.
finally done your show, and hold on, I forgot something. I'll be right back. Y'all vamp for a second.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
but-
it was a long time coming. I came to you guys. I actually saw your show kind of when I was thinking about starting my own.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, they did it before me,
Yeah.
But then I started listening to it and I became a fan. And I was kind of an early engager on social media.
Yeah, man,
It's really cool.
First of all, we probably said it on the first episode that you were with, but you have always supported us. You were like the first person to ever reach out to us and ask to be a sponsor,
Right.
and you were like, hey, I want to be a sponsor on your show. And we had no idea how to even set that up at the time. We're like,
yeah. And I kind of did that on
like,
purpose.
We don't know what to do.
I was telling Zach the other day because I had a paid advertisement in the form of a meme from Beaumonters Like, which is the Twitter. And
Aaron, you know how to pop a champagne bottle without getting it everywhere?
I do. I also know how to do it with a saber if you have a sword with you.
No, we're not doing that shit. I was
You
just
sure?
Yeah.
I went and got a bottle of champagne because I'm sure is what y'all were talking about is that
Right.
this has been a long time in the works. Tom.
yeah, it has. We were talking about
I
how
didn't think you would ever do it.
Yeah, luckily one of your beta episodes was Will Young, so I already knew Will.
Yeah.
And so I listened to that one immediately and loved
Read
it.
the instructions, dude.
No, there's no. This is a twist because this is cheap.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of my favorite things to do is, message you guys in the second episode and say, hey, do you guys have sponsorship? Of course you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
of course
and
we don't.
And
Yeah.
so a little bit of it is.
Oh, so you've played us.
Yeah. I mean,
He did. He fucking played us.
so a little bit of it is, you feel flattered because you're being asked.
Yeah.
And then when you get it on the ground floor, obviously it's cheap.
Yeah.
So
Right.
kind of the same thing with that meme page, Beaumonters Like, which
Yeah.
is genius, by the way. I'm so disappointed I didn't come up with that.
Yeah.
Because he has really good content. It's funny. And so I just messaged the guy, shoot your shot, say, hey, do you have any sponsorships? And they're the same thing. They're totally taken off guard. Like, no, I don't, but that would be awesome,
Yeah.
And so I kind of tell him what I'm looking for. And I say, well, hey, you know how Fuck Jerry does ads sometimes.
Yeah.
And all those meme pages. And
They do shout outs and all
Shout
that.
outs.
yeah, shout out for shout out, stories, and
Cheers, man.
oh yeah, here we go.
Hey, cheers to the beginning of an era.
Yeah.
Sipping champ.
Synergy,
Yeah.
all the
Synergy,
good
man.
stuff. What are some more buzzwords we can put in there?
I got synergy, got a lot of synergy.
Hey,
That was really bad champagne.
that's
So
all right.
sweet.
It's just about finding that balance.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yo, here's to getting that bread. You
Yeah.
heard?
Let's
we getting
get
that
this bread.
Yeah. So I mean, you've been cranking out episodes and they've been great. They, everything sounds good. Everything looks good because you got video. You got the video aspect and everything like that.
Yeah, I really wanted the video. That was one thing we talked about in the beginning is, you're in the works of getting your video set up. And I was like, I don't want to do anything until I have video. And
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, because so many people like to watch it. And I kind of looked at the metrics of people who are listening, people who are watching it, and it's almost pretty even.
Is it?
A lot of people are
Seems
going
like.
to YouTube. They like to watch a podcast.
I've tried to tell that from day one for this guy. I'm like, don't sleep on YouTube, dude.
Yeah,
People,
but you got a good setup now.
Yeah.
You've got live feeds. You've got camera switches. I'm kind of a one-man interviewer and producer. So I
Absolutely,
usually
yeah.
just throw the cameras up side by side and kind of let it run with
Yeah, that works. I mean, you can learn
It
how
works,
to get.
yeah.
Once we're working on the work.
I mean, there's not a lot of movement here. You're not
Yeah.
really
Right, for sure.
doing
Yeah.
crazy things. So
Yeah, I would love to have an intern one day. Maybe somebody from a high school that's in the video production program, and it would be like a paid internship.
Lumberton
So-
teaches. They have I think
NAV?
classes
Yeah.
on podcasts.
Yeah, they do.
My buddy Eric teaches over there.
Yeah,
See, all you gotta do is reach out.
I messaged them, and it was kind of into the summer, so
Get them
yeah.
caught off guard like you caught us off guard.
Yeah, for sure. What I like to do is go to their class and say, hey, I'm looking to hire a couple of interns because you kind of need it. The availability might be at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
So I think I need 2 or 3 kind of
Yeah.
on a rotation.
sure.
But yeah, if you go in there, offer these kids a job. And it's something cool, like you can show up in flip flops and shorts and a t-shirt. I'll pay you for a couple hours. All you got to do is monitor my cameras.
That's it.
Maybe Google something if we're in the
Levels.
middle of a conversation. Because
So
I
you're trying to get a Jamie, is what you're
I
trying
need
to
a young Jamie.
You need a young
because I
Jamie.
know for sure that if I'm doing both, I'm going to lose my train of thought. Because
Yeah.
I'm real.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
real focused.
yeah.
And when you guys have a co-host, you can kind of play off of each other.
Kinda, yeah. It
But
still
I'll
kinda
be thinking of what I
distracts
want to say next, and then messing with cameras, and I think I'll have a moment of silence.
It detracts from
Yeah.
the conversation. Yeah, absolutely.
But
That's a
luckily-
good idea.
Yeah, luckily
Yeah.
every episode so far, Zach will, kind of produce it on the back end and say, hey, give this one a listen. Let me know. And there's no edits. It's pretty much
Not really. No,
out
it's
there.
just
Yeah.
just clean it up basically.
Yeah, I keep a few notes in case the guest finishes a thought and they're about to have that pause, and then I just glance down, jump to the next topic, and
Sure.
try to have. I figured that we stay on a topic for 10 minutes, so I kind of fill up some topics, glance down, keep it rolling.
Yeah.
So what? So for our listeners right now, what are some of the guests that you have had? What are some of the guests that you plan to have? And is there like a cohesive element to people that you have on?
Yeah, I was really excited to have my first guest, and that was Damon West. And a lot of people have heard his story from around town because he's done almost 300 talks, but some of them are out of town to Division Ones, and he's the only Division I college quarterback to ever receive a life sentence in prison and get out with enough life left to live and tell about it and become a motivational speaker.
Yeah, that's crazy.
His agent's in the works right now with a movie, and they're trying to debate on traditional movies versus streaming services and
Yeah,
things like
yeah.
that. But I knew that it was going to become a movie at some point in time, and I had to get him in early before he gets too famous.
Right,
Right.
absolutely.
While I could get him just kind of on a friendship level. And so, I actually invited him to a Chamber of Commerce dinner one day and got to know him. He used to have on his Facebook profile a side-by-side. One was his mugshot and one was his professional headshot. And I was like, I got to meet this guy and
Yeah.
learn about his story. It's the same thing. I just DM'd him one day. And that's a true testament. We were talking about the advertisements and that you really got to take your chances. Nobody,
Shoot your shot.
All you can hear is say no, or when you have something conveying or interesting to say, you just got to slide into the DMs and be persistent.
Yeah.
When I did my first kind of bigger public speaking event with Rotary that you guys
was
came,
there. Yeah, we were there.
you guys came along with, I had a really good person introduce me. It was Forrest Hamilton.
Right.
And I messaged him on Facebook and I said, hey, I know you're usually giving the speeches and being introduced. I really like if you would introduce me at this event. It'd mean a lot to me. And he ignored me on purpose. And I messaged him a second time and he ignored it again on purpose. And after the third one, he said, hey, I was just testing you for your persistence. You passed the test. I'm your guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
So
just
he
imagine
he was just leaving you on read on purpose.
on purpose.
Have you ever been persistent and it not worked out?
Oh, probably in my job, I've always been in sales, and you just kind of have
Because it doesn't work for us sometimes.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
tried.
it doesn't. Yeah,
but
sometimes it does.
Sometimes it does.
Sometimes it does.
I usually go through every method before I exhaust it, though. So
Yeah.
you'll have maybe a social media DM followed by an email, phone call, personal visit, and then if that didn't work, maybe a handwritten thank you note. And then after that, if you don't get something, then it's probably not
Yeah.
a good opportunity. But I try to a handwritten thank you note goes a really long way because people don't receive mail much anymore.
Well, it's not bills or
junk mail.
Yeah,
So very
a sale
rarely do you
paper.
get a handwritten card
Yeah.
in the physical mail, and so that kind of gets noticed a lot more than an electronic message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it stands out. So that was your first guy.
Yeah.
So
And then I kind of took Zach's advice and your advice on doing a friend to
Yeah,
kind of get
yeah,
comfortable
to
and practice
shake
a
the
little
dust
bit.
off, yeah.
And so I did my good friend John Arcana. Well, he ended up having a really great episode.
Okay,
You know,
yeah.
a real banger. So so I went ahead and released that one second because I didn't
Okay.
want to leave him in the queue because he was a good sport about being first.
Right,
and,
right,
so I
right.
wanted to go ahead and get it out there because it's good promotion for the guest too. He likes to be out in the community like I do. So I wanted
That was
to
a good
do
talk too.
Yeah,
and a lot
really.
of good points to make.
It was, yeah. You know, it was two college guys talking about how, you know, maybe we shouldn't have gone to college. You know, maybe we should have.
absolutely. For
we
sure.
should have probably gotten into our trade a little sooner
Mm-hmm.
and maybe put all that tens of thousands of dollars into, you know, think of you're 20 years old and you put that into a mutual fund.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I
dude,
mean,
absolutely.
even worse, the kids that went to school and didn't get a degree, and they still had to spend that money.
Yeah,
you
say
know?
you went 3 years and then it just didn't pan out for it and you drop.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
At that point, you know, you really just need to do whatever it takes and go back and.
I have a lot of conversations with young people about that very same topic. I tell them they stress out about going to school. I'm like, well, maybe you shouldn't.
Well, I mean, is that one part of the cornerstones of like what you're trying to do with that show is like get these kind of ideas across? Is it? I mean,
Yeah.
it's a lot of entrepreneurship, accountability too. I guess
Right.
it's like all those metrics of
Yeah, so you know the name of my podcast is Tyler Knows Everything,
Yeah.
but if you look at the logo, the word knows is crossed out
Yeah.
because I'm always trying to learn more.
Right.
And people joke with me that I know, you know, they say in sarcastic like I know everything because there's so many topics just like you guys
Yeah.
that there's something I know about, you know, whether it's from science or you know what have you. All kinds of different subjects. And so
Yeah.
they say that, but I was like, I really don't. I'm really eager to learn
That's
as
why
much
we-
as I can from people.
I think that's why you know we and you clicked. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And we had a really good episode when we first came on. We're very similar in that way.
Yeah, for sure. And so some guests that I have coming up are going to be really interesting people that have a good story that you can learn something from. Every guest on has something you can learn from, and I usually keep it to about a tight hour.
Okay,
You know?
yeah.
You know, coming up, we've got Jody Nolan, who fell off of a 300-foot cliff when he was 19.
Yeah, and like
Was in a coma.
Malibu, right?
Yeah, the cliffs out in California. He was in a coma for 3 months, lost about 100 pounds.
Yeah.
They didn't think he was going to make it. They didn't think he was going to walk again. You know, there's video clips of him in the hospital on the parallel bars, you know, trying to help himself walk, and he's kind of like emaciated. He had to gain all that weight back, went on to become a black belt in karate and movie producer.
Now he owns
Yeah.
World Gym.
Stuntman,
World Gym owner, yeah.
Owns World Gym. You know, you would never know that happened to him, you know, back in the past.
Was
And-
he also in the hit film Sidekicks?
Yeah, he
think
got
I've
to
heard
be
of
an
that.
extra.
Yeah.
He was getting to know Chuck Norris because his dad wrote a letter when he was in that coma
Okay, yeah.
and said, I don't think my son's going to make it. He's one of your biggest fans. It would really mean a lot if you could reach out to him somehow. And that's how he became
Oh wow,
friends with Chuck Norris. Yeah.
wow, that's really cool. Yeah.
And so you'll learn about that in the podcast, and you know, really good story about overcoming obstacles.
Yeah.
And that'll kind of be a lot of people can kind of go back and forth because you know, like John, for example, said, "Oh, I'm following Damon West. How do I follow that story?" So everybody has their own brand and their own story, and there's somebody out there that can learn something about it. There's so much trash on reality TV that people find interesting that is
that real?
far less.
That's a thing
Yeah,
still?
Yeah, that's
Oh, yeah.
and those shows are far less interesting than some of these guests that I have
Yeah.
on, and so there's going to be lots of people out there.
Yeah, well, reality TV isn't as interesting as reality because, as you know, like you just can't
It's
write things
manufactured.
that
It's
you just can't
manufactured.
write things that are interesting like reality unfolds.
Yeah, it's a little bit scripted. And another guest that I really want to have on that'll probably pan out more when we get the Skype integration is it's a guy that he went to the high school right next to me, and he was an Afghan war veteran that ended up in a roadside bomb, and they ended up having to amputate his arm right below the elbow. And after he got discharged, he used his prosthetic limb to become an archery champion.
He's one of those
shit.
guys.
Yeah, so he would use kind of the hook attachment, and he was in hunting magazines, and kind of really helped him with his depression and his PTSD. And he has
Has he gone to like the Paralympics and stuff like that yet?
he
For
was
archery?
more, I guess, like in the sponsored hunting
Okay,
world.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
He was really talented at bow hunting. And it helped he kind of branded himself too as Yodo, which like YOLO means you only live once. You only die once, because he was kind of dead for a little bit. He had shrapnel in his abdomen. He really got pieced back together, and then ended up,
He got worked up.
Ended up losing his arm. And he has this cool truck that's like wrapped, with it's kind of got a pinup girl riding a bomb.
Okay, sure, yeah.
And he's traveling so much, he calls, some of his pages are like Journal of a Homeless Hero, because he's just constantly traveling all the time. Just kind of, he named his truck Felicia. And so he just, I really got to have him on to learn more about what he's up to, because it
should be easy to get him if he travels all the time. He could travel here, right?
He's a homegrown Texas boy, so he'll eventually make it down here. He's, and
at
I know
least to Houston. I mean, it's only right outside of Houston.
I know I'm close enough. He can come down for the weekend, stay at my place.
Sure, okay.
But for future guests, they may do the Skype thing, because we're not in a tourism town. You can't say, hey, would you like to come to my podcast out in Austin or California? For the weekend. So, I'm not on that celebrity level yet.
See, something about that too is I mean, we aren't a tourist town. That's true, but I think all three of us advocate for this area a lot. And people sleep on this area. This area is actually a tourist area for a few certain things, and it's world famous for certain things.
Yeah, like bird watching.
Yeah, like birding. Man, I've met so many like people from Germany that are just coming here, and I'm like, hey, what are you guys doing? Like, oh, we're here for the birding. We want to go see the bird Audubon. I'm like, oh, okay.
So they go out to Cattail Marsh.
I apologize to any German people that are listening. That
there's
I
like
just
thousands
butchered
of
that.
different species from all over the world that come here.
When you find somebody that is a bird enthusiast, they really go off about it so much more.
And it's a really sportsman.
I mean, the Audubon
area.
Society was founded here, right?
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
I heard a lecture from the director of the Gulf Coast Museum.
The Museum
of the Gulf Coast.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, he goes on and on about all these famous people that kind of had their roots here. And
it's a real thing. And the really sad part about it is I don't know if we would lose it if they stayed, but most of these famous people that they all left. You know what I mean? Like no one stays here. I mean, it's a running theme in a lot of our podcasts is trying to advocate for this area and talking about like, hey, why don't you guys just stay? If you have something to offer, don't take it to Austin. Don't take it to California. Don't take it to New York. Just stay.
Right. Yeah. I got a good podcast coming out with Joseph Trahan, who is one of those kids that grew up around here.
Yeah, I know.
And he moved to UT, spent his college days.
He works for Nick Lamson, right?
Right.
Yeah.
He's kind of Nick Lamson's right-hand man, works at Riceland. And he actually came back. So he could have stayed in Austin, had job opportunities and things going on out there. He chose to come back. And, Nick Lamson kind of had something to do with that. He said, I'm going to have a campaign soon, running for county judge.
Yeah.
Got a good thing going on here at Riceland. So he came back to work for him. And he's a big advocate of getting the young people to stay and have something that they can do for both career and recreation. And, of course, I'm a big advocate of that, too. I grew up in a small town of like 1,000 people, called Elkhart, Texas. It's about the size of maybe like Warren.
Where's that close to? Wow, that is really small.
The closest bigger town would be Palestine, Texas.
Oh, okay. Wow. So north Texas, gotcha.
Yeah, like
northeast
East Texas. Yeah. And I went to school in Nacogdoches. And so every city that I went to was bigger than the next. So I went from Elkhart to Nacogdoches for the college life.
Which was like, to you, you're like, man, this is a big city.
I thought I was in Metropolis. I thought I might just settle down there.
Man, I can drink beer until midnight.
Right. And that's only about 30,000 people.
Yeah.
So then I come to Southeast Texas, where Beaumont's 100,000. Southeast Texas as a whole is probably around 300,000, 250,000. And so there's plenty here for me. So I've never been one of those that is looking to go to a bigger city. Yeah. Right. I'm happy.
Well, there's a lot of problems with like a bigger metropolitan area too that you really can just skip all that by staying here, because you have your pluses and your minuses. And one of the minuses is cost. Right. Houston's not so much of an expensive city, but it can be depending on how you want to live. Right. Yeah. Your rent can be like sky high.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And your positives are just diversity of activities, all the food and stuff like that.
Well, you're forgetting about being Beaumont famous.
I mean,
how great is that? That is a thing. Like,
that is a thing.
Like having a lot of connections and a big network, even in a small town,
it feels good, man.
Well, not even feel good. Like it probably has actual like data that supports it, because you have a lot more opportunities. You know a lot more people, and if you build a good reputation and you build a reputation for whatever it is you do. And that's just it. It's like you have fallbacks built into the system. So
when I lived in Houston, I didn't know anyone.
Exactly.
And it was really hard to make
If I
friends.
thought about moving to Austin and trying to do the same thing, you
No.
know,
It just would
like,
never happen.
There's no way that I could do what I do in a bigger city like
No.
Houston or Austin. With the podcast, with my social networking for my career,
Yeah.
and getting to know people on the, I serve on the board of the Lumberton Chamber of Commerce. I couldn't do that in Houston. You know, I think they have like Tillman Fertitta on the board.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Who am I compared to that? And so, you can establish a name for yourself in Beaumont, and you can be popular, and not just Beaumont, all of Southeast
and
Texas.
we're not even saying popular like in some kind of
Like
this,
high school way.
some kind of
Yeah.
high school, like actually.
We just meaning having
Right.
Yeah,
connections.
a lot of connections.
Yeah, you can be a
Yeah.
useful person. You can get to know lots of CEOs and presidents of companies on a first name basis,
Yeah.
and they're going to talk to you. You can get them on. You can get local politicians on the podcast.
Yeah.
That's
Sure.
definitely something we couldn't do in a city
No.
like
No,
that.
can you imagine
yeah.
us hitting up like the mayor of Austin or something to get an interview
like,
when
"Man,"
we
he'd be
live
like,
in there?
"Fuck
It's like you're
off."
the fourth one this
For
week.
sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really powerful thing for your like personal happiness too.
is.
Especially for like men, we're all men. I can't really speak. That's all I can speak to
Mm-hmm.
is that's all I know. But it is something really powerful about contributing, like having some sort of worth to contribute to your surrounding areas.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
when I lived in Houston, dude, I was just mad depressed because I didn't know anyone. I was contributing zero.
And you rarely see the same person twice.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. And I felt like
We could
useless,
go. We could
you
go
know?
to HEB
Yeah.
right now
And
and
find at
probably
least
run
one
into
person that we
10
know.
I'll
yeah.
run into 6 people at least.
Exactly,
in
and they're going to be
HEB.
happy to see you. They're friendly. I got so
Now
many.
this is all keeping in mind that you don't do shitty things. You just do.
Oh,
good
right,
things.
right.
Yeah, you could develop in a small town. You could develop a bad reputation just as fast as you could a good reputation.
Yeah.
and maybe even faster.
That's one of the good
Yeah.
things about if you want to be a crappy person, then
Go to
a
a
big
big
city
city.
might be for you because you're going to have a lot of anonymity.
Yeah.
And you can
Yeah.
really hide behind it. Yeah, just disappear.
But yeah, so much positive energy since I launched. I got a lot of messages in my inbox, from Instagram, Facebook, of how much they enjoyed episode 1, episode 2.
Yeah.
So many of them were from today, coincidentally. Launched a couple weeks ago. I had a friend say, so here's a friend that works for Walter Humphrey's law firm, one of the biggest prestigious law firms in Beaumont, said, hey, I had a long drive today.
It's one of the
Listen-
biggest, most
Yeah.
prestigious law firms in Texas.
Yeah. He said, hey, man, I listened to episode 1 and 2 on my ride. Can't wait to listen to more.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I usually tell everybody that, the same thing. I appreciate that feedback so much. I want to produce good content.
Yeah.
I want to be able to produce something that I'm proud of and that people enjoy and feel like they get a takeaway from it, even if it's just one thing. And it really contributes to a lot of my personal happiness. I can't express how much when I come in here, spend about an hour, finish a podcast, my whole entire day and mood is just elevated so
Yeah.
much.
Even when it's 90 degrees in here.
Oh yeah,
it's
I
still
don't
cool.
care. Yeah. We had a little. We're in a shared building with several tenants, and so if you're listening, we have the AC go down, and we're still recording all
Still
the
here, yeah.
box of content still recording.
I would, usually by this time we might have taken our shirts off, but I don't want to take my shirt off around you. You're going to make me feel like a piece of crap.
Yeah, I'm good. I don't need.
Well, like I'm just gonna cover up.
We'll still with
Yeah.
it.
Mr. 1,000 pull-ups over here.
Well, it's
Yeah,
kinda-
it took me 4 hours. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's,
4
that's,
hours?
that's a big
Oh my
thing
God.
that I've told a lot of people. What you were just talking about. It's not even just the studio, but just doing this thing has
Yeah.
been such.
Yeah.
It's had such a positive impact on my life, and on. I mean, I have more friends that I've ever had in my entire life, and more meaningful relationships
Oh, yeah.
just from being able to sit down and talk to people.
I believe it.
is, yeah.
And it's not just there's times whenever you're trying to get guests, and there's times whenever you're trying to be like you're in host mode, to where and you probably picked up on this, to where it almost feels kind of plasticky in a way,
Right.
Yeah,
because you're
yeah.
trying you're aiming for something, you're trying to get something out of your
Yeah.
guest. And or whatever it is you're doing, and it's like I've felt that at times, but it's been such a meaningful difference, and it actually has it has weight to it.
Oh yeah.
What we do in here,
For sure. Yeah,
to
the guests-
me anyway.
Yeah, they're very appreciative, before and after. I mean, they feel really honored to be a guest, when you come in, it's like, hey, let me take your picture and promote you on social media. Because
Yeah.
a lot of them they're building their own brand as well.
Yeah.
And it's just about telling a story. I'd always tell them, I was like, hey, I'm not interviewing you. This is just a long form discussion.
A conversation.
Just the microphones are just in the way, and we're just going to talk about your story.
That's the cool thing with what we do, though, is that it doesn't feel rigid. It doesn't feel condensed like an interview. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a lot of times those things, they're great you're cutting it short, you're getting information out, and it's easy to digest, but it's not natural.
Well, a lot of these folks,
conversation
the
is
folks
natural.
that we have talked to that have done any kind of interviews. They're used to doing like the old media news style interview where they have these questions they want to get or these controversies they want to touch on.
Yeah.
And it's like they're probably happy to just be able to sit down and just talk about the thing. You
And
know?
the
No
exposure
time
and the reach
constraints
is just amazing because when you click publish, within seconds, it's global. Anybody from another country can pull up an app and listen to you.
Have you been looking at your metrics? Have you got other countries yet?
I
Isn't it a
haven't looked at
trip?
the demographics, but I mainly just the
weird.
numbers.
It's
like,
a trip. Man.
A to Z
Yeah.
Movie Night is big in
Wow.
In Indonesia.
Indonesia. Yeah.
It's like our movies are big in Indonesia. It's weird.
that's really
that
cool.
wild?
Yeah.
Weird.
I think it's because we do like stuff from the early 90s and late 80s, and like those are the movies that they just got. So they're like,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But
Yeah, because that's what's really cool about movie night is it's a lot of like cult classics and things, and you're really good about themes and like holidays with Halloween and Christmas and sticking to that.
We've been kind of slacking over there, but
we have been.
It's I don't know. It's like this. I mean, I'm
Those are-
recording
but-
video for this, but it's like we're kind of in a
We're in
a very
transition.
long transition
Yeah.
state. Once the AC gets fixed and I can come in here and not sweat my ass off and work on it and get everything dialed in, then it's like we're gonna be we're all moving toward a more structured thing.
Right.
Like everybody,
all of us
I think.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all have
gonna
done
be
an
great.
amazing
Yeah.
job. Like I said, I say it numerous times, but it wouldn't be possible without you guys because there's just so much back end editing that I wouldn't have been able to do by myself,
Yeah.
or it'd have been
Yeah.
kind of a little wonky.
Well, that's all. That's
you know?
all him.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? That's all him. Yeah,
Right.
I'm a glutton, man. Give me the work.
absolutely.
Give me that work.
So what would be some of your just like top goal guess? Like who can you think of right now that seems impossible, but someone that you would love to get on?
Man,
You know?
I would love to
Just
get
shoot for the
Dan
moon.
Crenshaw. I got to meet Dan Crenshaw
Oh,
when he
yeah,
came
yeah.
down but his office gets inundated. I mean, we're talking
Who's
thousands.
Dan Crenshaw?
He's a guy.
he's the-
He's a guy with his eye missing.
the
They made fun of.
congressman with the
yeah,
Saturday
the
Night
congressman.
Yeah, so he's out of Houston.
You took a picture with him one time, didn't you?
Right,
A couple
yeah,
of times.
Yeah,
Yeah,
couple times,
and that was actually an accident. So
Okay.
so Corey Crenshaw, who owns the Crenshaw Law Firm
Okay.
in town, they happen to have the last name. They are not related.
They're not related.
Oh.
And he sent an email to his office, and it got through because they thought he was a
relative or
cousin.
something?
Yeah.
And he wanted him to have a fundraiser. Did really good. Raised about $30,000. You know,
Yeah.
down at Edison Plaza for a reception. It's
great,
Because
yeah.
anytime you see me at an event with a politician, and I'm shaking their hands, and it looks like I have all this access, it's probably a fundraiser. That's just
Sure.
what they do. When they do a meet and greet, you have to pay anywhere from like $100 to several thousand or whatever the limit. It limits like $1,500.
Yeah, because they're trying to raise money for
to
something.
get certain
Yeah.
access. So,
Yeah.
for example, you could have kind of a private reception with Dan Crenshaw if you paid a little more. I just went to like the general reception, just because there's a good chance he's going to get nominated to be president one day by the GOP. He's he's 35 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
he's very young. for
Veteran, all that
politics.
stuff. Yeah.
So I thought, man, I really need to get a picture with him and shake his hand.
Yeah.
You know, in case that happens one day. But,
Absolutely, yeah.
But I think I want to.
That's interesting how far ahead you think. You really do. Like that's where your head goes.
Yeah, I definitely want to get to the point where I could ask somebody from out of town, and they would feel like it's important enough to
For them to
come,
drive, yeah.
For the
drive
drive.
or book a hotel because
Yeah.
they want to be kind of
Yeah.
like if Joe Rogan calls you up, you're going to do whatever you got to do to
Yeah.
get there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So it's on that level.
Well,
I can't be on that
yeah.
level, but
hopefully we can like. all work
it
together.
would make
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, like you were getting at is like
Yeah.
if there's a good guest, then you're not just offering one show. You can offer them to come on all of our shows.
sure.
For the most,
Yeah,
well,
they
not
could- they
most
could
of
knock
our
it.
That's a
shows.
great thing about this network.
we get
You
one,
know,
you
yeah.
know?
That's the great thing about this network is we all work together. We're sharing resources. It's very modern. You know what I mean? And our shows are a resource in itself that we share.
And I can tell you, every guest that I brought in has been really impressed by the setup.
Really?
Yeah, so kudos to you on the.
Well, it's like you walk into this dark, weird hallway, and then you open the door, and you're like in another
Yeah,
world.
it seems.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
like it's
but the
yeah,
equipment's really quality. You
Yeah.
know, we're not recording on iPhones or anything like
Right.
or USB. I mean, this is some high tech stuff, and luckily you have that background with music production. You know, that's kind of like your main career.
Yeah, it's like that's what I tell a lot of people is like whenever we decided to do it, I already had half the equipment.
Yeah.
I just needed the stands, basically.
Yeah,
I
that's
needed
it.
the radio boom arms, and I pretty
Yeah.
much had everything else.
And
we
these
needed.
are like $12. So
yeah, we're not fancy, but I mean, with a little bit of
honestly,
a little
the
bit
table
of,
is the fanciest.
a little bit of elbow
yeah.
work, just put that shine in there, and
Yeah.
we I don't know, man. It's people like you and all the other people that are doing shows now, David Spradley, all the boxing content guys, especially Julia Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Big
Yeah.
shout out to her. It's y'all, and then it's just the response that we've gotten from the community, and you've already seen that. You've only been out a couple of weeks. You've already seen the response that you get. You know, it's all that. It's just this has been an obsession.
Yeah.
It's become like the past almost 2 years now. It's become an obsession.
Last week, Mega Millions was a little bit high, so I bought a couple tickets, and that's my first thought is like, what would you do if you won?
Yeah.
I was like, I would podcast full time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And my whole squad would be coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
I want that top floor Edison Plaza. Let's go.
All ships rise with the tide.
I'll be your engineer, and I'll produce. I'll switch the cameras.
All ships rise with the tides. You know.
There'll be a little loft in there we're living.
I think I got one number, by the way.
You got one of them? Yeah.
One, just the one. Just the one.
You need like 3 to get like $5 out of it or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I lost like 15 that day.
Aren't you more likely to get struck by lightning?
I think so.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, the
Big time.
lottery's
Big
terrible.
time. Yeah, big time. It's a tax on the poor.
But
actually, is what people say.
that particular drawing, one person won.
One person
and,
won, yeah.
You know, you just.
Somebody's gonna win every time, right?
I always feel like I deserve it, but because I would do good with it. You know, I wouldn't blow it.
You wouldn't squander it. Well,
yeah.
It's probably why you would never win it.
When I was younger, I would check the box for the annual payments. Now that I'm getting older, I check the cash value.
Cash out. Yeah.
You don't
No, that makes
You don't know
sense,
what it's
too.
going to be worth in 10 years.
You're a very analytical person, so it doesn't even make sense that you're buying a lottery ticket in the first place.
Yeah, it's
but
kinda
since
weird.
you are, you're actually like, you know what? Now that I'm this age, I'm going to take the cash value. I'm not going to take these monthly payments.
Yeah. I only buy them when they show up in the news headlines of like it's a larger than normal jackpot.
Like when it's $1 billion.
Yeah.
You know, those are basically just commercials for
the B.
For sure.
the
We
lottery.
need to drum up some more tickets. So here we go.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
That's true. And actually, your odds decrease as the jackpot gets higher because there's more tickets in the pot, as it were. You know what I mean? So you go way further down.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but you can't play Texas Hold'em in Texas, huh?
I
Weird.
guess so, yeah.
The last time
I've been seeing a lot of these weird places pop up that are like private clubs.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
So it's like a
it's a
poker
loophole.
club.
Yeah, it's a poker hall. It's
It's great.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
very great.
here's how it's a legal issue.
Jordan's really big into those.
Yeah, so you pay somebody an hourly rate to deal you cards.
Yes.
And so they're not you're not playing against the house, you're playing against your
playing
friends.
against everyone that's sitting against
Just like
beside you.
if the three of us were to have a card game right now, we could do that. We could play against each other. We could bet whatever we wanted to. And if we wanted to pay someone to deal us those cards, then it would be legal. So they're just providing the space for you to have a get together, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
And they'll sell like beers and stuff. And that's how they make
crazy
their money.
story. I was in a cab in Vegas, and they usually say, "Oh, where are you from?" Blah blah, blah Beaumont. And he's like, "Yeah, my buddy's about to start a poker room down there." And I was like, "No way! Like, how do you even know where Beaumont is?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, he asked me to come down and move there and run the poker room." And I just think he's kind of talking out of his ass. I don't know. But sure enough, a few months later, this poker room pops up, and I'm like, "That's the story."
Is the cabbie there? Is the guy there?
No, he stayed in Vegas.
Oh, so you made a mistake, dude. You got to get out of Vegas. You cannot pay me to live in Vegas. You couldn't fucking pay me.
No,
I'm sorry.
I wouldn't live there, but I love that city, and I'll tell you why. Because
Yeah.
I'm a very visual person.
Sure.
I like to watch. I like
You like the flashing
You're like, I
lights
like all
and
the
shit.
colors.
the shows.
Yeah.
Everything is over the top.
Yeah.
Visually.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so I just kind of like being in that environment. Times Square, New York is very similar. It's got, and a lot of people don't like that. They say Times Square used to be a little more
Times Square
classic.
freaks me out.
Times Square looks exactly like the Vegas Strip now.
Yeah.
It's like 10K monitors.
It looks like
everywhere.
It looks like
It's oh
being.
my
It looks like
God.
being
It's
in a slot
in
machine.
a commercial.
You're in a
Yeah.
slot machine.
You're in
You're
a
like, "Ah."
commercial, basically.
It looks
Yeah.
like daytime, but yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what was really interesting is I went to the brand new 9/11 museum that's underground. It's in where the footprint of the Twin Towers.
Yeah.
And they've got that reflection pool.
Isn't
that
that
goes,
the one that just pours into it?
And so when you're underground in the museum, you actually see the contour of the reservoir coming down there, and it's insulated with foam and aluminum, and you don't even hear the waterfall at all when you're in that museum.
Oh,
But
wow.
they've got
That's really cool.
They've got such cool things in that museum down there. They've got the impact beams that are dented where the nose of the plane came in. They've got all of the missing letters, find my dad, find my mom.
Oh, yeah.
Originals in there.
That'd be a
Powerful place.
Powerful place, but
One of
sad place.
the Twin Towers, there's there's a mural of it at Thirsty's where you see one of them has that big antenna.
Yeah.
And that antenna is,
Yeah, I was
hundreds
just saying
of
the
feet.
LED burned out.
Yeah,
on that thing.
there used to be the LED on the tower.
Yeah.
On that little.
Well, there's a section of that antenna in the museum, and that thing is, it's as big
giant.
around as this room.
It's giant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a burned up fire truck. There's all kinds of stuff in there.
Check that out next time I'm in New York.
Yeah. And there's a huge room of like the medical coroner where they're still, they're working on DNA, trying to get
Yeah.
people back to
Wow.
their family.
So
Yeah.
so you're kind of a
Couldn't
like
live there.
almost kind of sort of a jet setter. What
A
do you
little
think?
bit,
What do you think? You think New York or LA?
In California, I've only been to San Francisco, San Diego, and then up north to Napa Valley. So I've never been
Fucking
to
up,
the
dude.
LA
You gotta
scene.
go to LA, dog.
But
LA
San
sucks.
Diego was amazing
LA
when
can
it
suck
comes to.
In your experience,
In
I
my
always thought it would
experience, LA
suck.
can suck.
I always thought it would suck, and
Yeah.
I was like, "This is gonna be a social
New York is
cesspool.
great.
But I went there, and I didn't actually stay in LA. I stayed in Long Beach, which I loved.
Yeah.
because it was like Beaumont with palm trees.
Right.
That's literally what Long Beach is, because it's the blue collar area. That's like the
I thought
biggest.
that was Bakersfield.
No, well, that's Beaumont in the desert is what Bakersfield is, and that's for real. But Long Beach, it's just palm trees. It's beautiful, but everyone that works there like is a dock worker
Yeah.
or an oil field worker
Yeah.
because there's
Yeah.
the 10th biggest oil field is in Long Beach, California.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really weird. People don't know about this stuff.
Or a gangster. yeah.
well-
yeah, we're gangster.
Yeah.
You want to take a quick break?
Take a
Yeah.
break.
Take a break.
Hey, this is Julia with Wake Up Beaumont Podcast. You are listening to the A to Z podcast. A to Z Podcast Studios are funded in part by patrons on Patreon. If you would like to become a patron, visit patreon.com/A2ZBMT.
All right, guys. Well, we're in the middle of this show, and you know what that means. It is our time to plug some things going on in your area.
Shield time.
So what we're doing this time is we're going to talk about some stuff going on at the lovely historic Jefferson Theater. And on July 12th, we have Singing in the Rain. That's the classic musical that
I hate
everyone knows.
musicals.
Well, you know what? Kids don't, and families don't. So go ahead and bring your family down. Doors open at 6. The movie starts at 7:30, and that's just a cool $5 bill to get in. Real simple.
And on July 18th, in the alley next to the Jefferson, you're going to have the Ramblin' Boys featuring Sweet Fighter. Doors are at 7. I don't know what the price is on that, but that is a pretty cool thing that they've been doing. And they put a stage up in the alley. And
Yeah, it's
with
like a little
sound system,
concert series.
And they do like a little concert in the alleyway. It's really kind of cool. If you want to find out what else the city's got going on, go to discoverbeaumont.com and you can check out their event calendar. But at this moment, we're going to get back to Tyler Troutman.
The value of the account changes with gold.
Yeah, they
but
have- they have
at any time, you could actually like go to Switzerland, or you could be like, "Hey, ship me my gold."
Oh, right.
It's almost like an independent Fort Knox, where they have like a lot of gold in it. At any time, you make transactions, and your gold supply dwindles.
Yeah,
but
big,
you can call it up. You can call on it. You're
right.
like, give me my fucking gold.
Yeah, Bitcoin had a debit card like that too.
Give me that
And-
gold.
I want the gold. Where the gold at?
Where the gold at?
But
Anybody see the left account and say yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, the scary thing about Bitcoin with a debit card is you could have $20 or 20,000, and you never really know what.
You never know.
Yeah.
And then it's like you can't really call up. Bitcoin is like the exact opposite end of the spectrum from goldmoney.com. Goldmoney.com is like resource-based currency, and Bitcoin is like the ultimate fiat currency.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like our dollar, the American dollar, is already kind of a fiat currency. It's not based on a resource unless you want to say oil as resource or just whatever, or credit. But like Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies go even further than that.
Right.
I guess theoretically what they're based on is the market and like what people accept, just like other fiat currencies. And it was built on like software developers' labor and things like that. They would trade that with each other, say, hey, you want to work on this and I'll work on that.
Is Will going live right now?
Yeah, yes. That's kind of why I put it up there. It was
Yeah.
I thought it was
Cool.
kind of funny because I guess we might as well get back to it.
Yeah, Will's channel has really blown up over the years.
He's just been
He's at it, man.
Well, recently he just had
Did he get 1,000 subscribers?
I think so.
Yeah.
But he had what was it? One of his eclipse footage that he shot is going to be used on the Science Channel.
Yeah, and
it
I-
is
oh,
going
that's
to be,
awesome.
or it has been.
Yeah, it actually has been. I picked that up kind of in real time. You know how you comment?
Because I was watching that thing happen too.
Yeah,
Whenever he
if
did
you
it.
comment on something from a long time ago, it pops back up in your newsfeed.
Yeah.
And he had a comment about them requesting his footage, and he's like, "Hey, did you guys ever do anything with this?" And they were kind of like, "Oh yeah, by the way, it's already happened." you know? Because
cool.
They gave him credit at the end. And
yeah, they put his name in the credits, and because in that thing they don't really tell you, like if you video something and the news says, "Hey, can we use this?" They don't really tell you after it happens or pay you or anything.
Right.
They just use it because they got your permission.
Yeah.
So he never knew it came out, and so then they kind of collaborated and gave him the footage and showed him where to find it, and so he was able to reference that on his channel. But yeah,
That's really cool.
well, the coolest thing is that he's doing a lot of it with his iPhone. You know, he's putting
this is with the iPhone. This
Yeah.
is live
Right.
right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's just the iPhone instead of his eye in the viewfinder. But yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So he's putting the iPhone up to the eyepiece, just
Right.
like you would put your eye
But
there.
but he does like almost every other day or every day for a stretch of time, as long as it's clear. Like he's shooting the moon, and he's talking to people in comments. He's probably talking to us right now. I can't see it, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
When are you gonna have Will on your podcast?
Yeah,
I bet
he's-
you are.
that's kind of what I was aiming at.
Uh-huh. Yeah, he's coming up for sure. So many things he can talk about because he's got glass blowing and torch experience, and then the Astronomical Society of Southeast Texas. He's done
He's
so many
kind
cool
of
things.
he's just kind of like a professional skeptic too. You know what
Well,
I mean?
I
That's
mean
what we
that,
get
but
into.
also you got
music.
you got the music thing that he does, but then you have his wife who's
Yeah.
like a USA Today best-selling author, like all this stuff. Like
He's
that.
one of- yeah,
Those are some
yeah.
of my favorite people
They
that
are.
we've met.
Yeah.
And I knew Will before that, but I met Lyra,
Mm-hmm.
or we met Lyra like
Yeah.
through Will, you know. So it's
Yeah.
like that's like, and we met you through Will.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
Absolutely,
it goes back to what we were saying in the first half. It's like the people that I've met and the people that are doing such cool things in this area.
Yeah, and strategically, some of the guests that you've already had, I'm putting them further out. That way,
strategically,
just so the
yeah.
listeners aren't like, "Oh, he's just
It's this
He's just
guy.
rehashing.
yeah,
No, it
or
makes
he's
sense.
just doing the same
Right.
thing."
It makes sense.
So
I
I
can
had
appreciate
some
that,
unique
yeah.
Well,
ones.
and even even I have had like little like bits of worries about us interviewing the same people or wanting to interview the same people, but in reality, whenever I really think about it, it's like we do the same thing. Our shows are the same kind of thing, but we
Right.
are completely different people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
conversation is different.
Yeah.
So
It's
even if we did interview the same person, it's like, okay, cool, bonus. I have 2 episodes of this person. They're completely different.
Yeah.
So
well, I mean,
yeah.
they might talk about the same things, but like what we're going to be looking for
Right.
and talking about and tangents we're going to have
If-
are going to be different.
Yeah,
from the
if there
ones
was an
you-
Yeah.
episode with Will from us and from Tyler,
Yeah,
from
oh,
Tyler
yeah.
Knows Everything, it would be 2 separate,
Plus,
completely
we're
different
a
episodes.
lot raunchier than you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's
I haven't explored
true.
that yet because
That's true.
in the natural conversation, we all swear and use vulgar language.
Yeah.
I haven't done it on the earlier episodes because
Well, I don't. It doesn't seem like you're trying to keep it clean or anything like that.
Right.
It's just that's just how you are.
Yeah.
You're not a very vulgar person.
yeah, day to day, even if you're having a casual conversation with me, I don't really throw around a lot unless they're trying to emphasize something
Yeah.
or use
You
it
use
to
the
be
words
funny.
properly.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
use cuss words like they're commas. You know. It's
Yeah.
like, that's just how we are.
Yeah, because a lot of people, and since I do the public speaking gigs, I have to know my audience,
Yeah.
and so I'm
Yeah.
thinking, who's going to be listening to my podcast? It's going to be
Yeah.
this circle of friends. Maybe they don't want to hear, and also
Right.
because my daughter's 13, and her friends listen to my podcast.
Sure.
They think it's the coolest
great.
thing that
That's great.
my dad
You
has a
don't let them
podcast.
listen to our podcast, do you?
No,
Especially
they
not movie night.
Yeah.
No, they
Please
just
don't
listen
let
to
them-
mine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't.
They've
You
never-
can let them listen
I mean,
to
if
A
they
to Z
want
podcast,
to,
but not movie
like,
night. You
not
can't
movie
let them
night.
listen to movie night.
Movie night's
That's for
already-
sure.
Yeah, definitely. And so much potential. Like my daughter has all these apps on her phone to create videos, and she's making, collages for her cheer camp, for
Yeah.
her
Oh, sure,
friends, and
cool.
sending it to her friends with a music montage.
Yeah.
And I'm always telling her, I'm like, Ava, you need to come be my producer, like for
Yeah.
the summer.
That'd be
You
awesome.
can
Yeah.
switch
Yeah.
cameras.
Yeah,
you can,
for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm really excited to
That'd be
have her
awesome.
learn.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of the things that it's kind of like a side goal, but like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the things that I have in mind for the studio have already started to come to fruition with other people coming in here and working. And then past that, like what you talked about the intern thing is like the big issue is that I'm always out of town.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of a difficult thing, but like I would like to get once this place gets stable enough and we get like this thing rolling, like I would be completely down if you can find the interns, I'll train them.
Right.
You know, because
Yeah.
not because that benefits everybody in the studio, because not only could they switch cameras for you, if we have a couple of shining stars that we find, they can switch cameras for everybody.
Exactly.
And,
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
they can make, you know,
Yeah.
not only can they make some money, it might be like minimum wage or,
Yeah, for
you know,
sure. But it's you know, you're looking
these
for
are all-
high school kids,
these
college
are all,
kids.
I mean, I was talking to, I forgot who it was. I think it was Lane with Box of Content and those guys. And that, like, I was talking to him outside of that interview we did, and everything that we do here is resume level skills.
It is.
I mean,
absolutely.
these are all
Yeah.
things that you can show.
can leverage them.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
leverage all these skills that everybody is using in the studio.
Yeah, because your resume is always going to be an emphasis of what you really did. So,
Yeah.
you know, you're going to say, I ran and produced a podcast, multiple podcast studio, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
things
and then
like
you
that.
can have separate bullet points beyond that too. Is
Yeah,
you know, talking
video
about
editing,
video
audio-
editing, AV, sound quality,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that a young person would be interested
But
in.
not to mention, like, the young person being interesting, they'd learn some skills, but also, I mean, how beneficial would it be for some teenagers to be around? I mean, maybe not me and Aaron, because we're kind of scoundrels, but like to be around not only people like you, but also the people that you interview to
I'm
be
pretty
to be able to
positive.
sit in the same room and hear these kind of conversations. Maybe, and it goes back to the big dramatic thing that I say about the podcasting world, and doing this is what I've gotten from it and the benefits. But like, you know, it's beneficial for them to be in the same room and to hear these conversations. Maybe they'll be drawn to those conversations.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll have those conversations with their own peers that they might not have otherwise. Because I wasn't talking about any of these things when I was 14, 15,
Right, yeah.
No,
whatever
I
years
wasn't either.
old.
No,
yeah,
You know,
'cause-
even in college, like, it's...
yeah, just by default, you know, you kind of have to listen to mine, you know, as you're doing the listen through and the editing, and I always kind of hint, I'm like, man, you're really gonna like this one. But yeah, you have to listen to it for an hour. You might as well if you're.
I speed it up a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
It makes me sound like a mouse.
It just makes it quicker to edit. But you don't have to do much with yours. But like that is, you know, all your episodes that I've done, they've been super interesting. They've been great, and it's great also because it's like a lot of your guests. Like every time I see you have a new guest and I listen to the episode, I'm like, damn it! Like we're never gonna be able to find people that Tyler's not gonna get a hold of first. But then the more I think about it, it's not really. These aren't really
It
the
doesn't
people.
matter.
Like our thing is a different thing, but it's also. It's just completely. It's a different approach. It's the same thing with, but even that, like these are 2 shows out of millions.
out of a lot. Yeah,
You
out of a
know?
lot of podcasts.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
and
a saturated field.
It still blows my mind
Yeah.
that we can have. I think we're at around like 7 shows in this space right now, and they're all doing. And we're not doing anything super original, but it's
There's no new notes in music,
I'm so
bro.
excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy that
So
out of the
excited.
majority of the podcasts in Southeast Texas, they're all in this room right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
only a handful that are elsewhere.
Yeah. I want to say there's like maybe 3 or 4 or 5
Yeah, we've-
more.
Congratulations, boys. We've really cornered the market.
Yeah.
We've really cornered the market.
you sparked the interest.
No,
And,
yeah.
and when I was getting ready, and I told you guys, I was like, look, it's you know, I'm ready. You know,
Yeah.
let's get this thing going. I'm laser focused.
You're like, let's get this bread.
and I won't name any names, but Zach said, well, there's another one in town, not associated with us. And he's like, it might be kind of similar to yours, you know, and so I kind of started paying attention a little more, got mine going, and I think I'm good. I think
good?
my momentum is good.
All right, good.
All
Your
right.
momentum is good. You know, and it's a lot of that stuff is distractions. When you look out there in the world and you try to find people that compare to yourself, it's not ever usually a positive thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's almost always a negative thing. You can't compare yourself to others. You have to compare yourself to your former self.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh man, I used to not have a podcast I do now. Let me try to figure out how to make my podcast the best it can be.
Right.
Yeah.
Not let me figure out how I can be more like Joe Rogan or
Yeah.
whatever. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
And everything that
yeah.
I've done, whether it be starting a business or a podcast, I've always been good at observing others
Yeah.
and seeing what I didn't like about that and what I would change
Yeah,
and what I
that's
think
exactly how you
the
do it,
listeners
yeah.
or the viewers would like better. And so I tried to kind of adhere to that. That's why, you know, it'll be a while before I entertain like a sponsorship or a commercial because
For
I don't
sure.
want to come out with that.
Yeah.
And if it turns into that, that's great because it would help offset some of the production costs.
Oh well, I think
but
we're most of the way there, honestly.
Yeah, we're trying to figure
Kinda-
that
we're
out
trying to
now.
figure some-
We're trying to figure
something
something
like
out now.
I mean, because we have just now. Actually, it hasn't even been successful yet. Probably not even by the time that this episode comes out. We haven't gotten paid yet, but we have
Yeah.
dabbled
We're
in the sponsorship.
We're in the
game.
talks with a few things. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, you know, it's one of those things. It's like the big thing right now is even beyond like serving your audience or anything like that is at this stage, even where we're at, it's we're doing this for us.
Yeah, for
Oh
sure.
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Like,
And it's a lot like Facebook in the beginning, where
Yeah.
Zuckerberg didn't want any ads because he wanted it to be cool, and it's
Yeah.
not cool with ads at first. And so he was trying to see what it would turn into before, and then at some point, then people are beating down your
I
door.
think he also
with
didn't
ads.
even know how to monetize it.
Probably not,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think he said that. Yeah, he was like, I didn't even know how to monetize it.
Yeah, it was after he got more corporate that probably kicked in, because
Right.
he was just winging it at the first. He was just a programmer, and yeah, that's what a journey that's become for him.
Yeah, for that robot.
now he's a robot.
yeah,
Yeah.
now he's like a cyborg.
Barely,
So
barely human.
started from the bottom. Now you're soulless. You know. Yeah. It is interesting, man.
Smoking
And
meats.
with these guests that we have or that we could get and everything, there's also a point that's really like subversive of your expectations. So you were talking about episode 2 with John Arcana.
Yeah.
It's one of your buddies.
Mhm.
You know, you did it to kind of like, brush the dust off and
Yeah.
kind of have somebody that you're really familiar with. And you said it turned out to be a great episode.
Yeah. I thought it was a really great episode.
Yeah, and it's like the way we do it in here. Sometimes we have very, very important people to us. You know, everything's relative, but to us, we find these people to be very important. And the episode might be good, it might be so-so, and then we might have an episode with some people that are just like doing a thing, or just like very low profile, and it will turn out to be a great episode.
Yeah.
So I find one
Those
of
are
the
some of my
best
favorites,
one of the
yeah.
best things that you can do for like your podcast or your show or anything in life, honestly, is like stop it with the expectations. Just drop them. You know what I mean? It can apply to even going to a movie. You know what makes a movie really good? Go into it with no expectations.
Yeah, for
What
sure.
makes sitting down for an interview and a podcast great? Going in with no expectations. And don't project those expectations onto,
I mean, is there a lesson that we're trying to push with this episode? I guess talking to you about like just go out and do something.
yeah.
I mean, like, because I've probably said it before, but like, I've always made the joke of like, who the hell are we to be sitting in here
I mean,
talking to
we still are,
microphones and doing all
yeah.
this stuff, and we're still doing it.
Still doing
and you've been plotting to do it. Now you're doing it, and you're kicking ass.
Yeah.
And it's like,
And that's
it's
what's so
like,
great about
yeah.
the podcast world is nobody can tell you no. You can
Yeah, there's
come in
no
here.
FCC.
You can.
There's no FCC. There's no middle managers. There's nobody saying that your content isn't good enough. Like,
Right. You didn't have to go to a radio station and say, hey, I've got this great idea for a show, and you
Yeah.
pitch it, and they tell you no. Like, you just
Yeah.
come in here, create quality content, and
Yeah.
get hundreds of listeners.
And you know what's
Yeah.
a scary thing too is now that we have this sort of, network. We have this network. It's coming up. We're trying to develop it. When you combine our metrics together, we're gonna have much more listenership than any radio station
Yeah,
around
for
here.
sure.
I guaranteed. And even if we don't, like say some
like
of the bigger,
dedicated listeners.
some of the
like
some of the
radio
bigger radio
listeners, they
stations.
turn the knob
they're-
and they search for their
they're casual.
station.
because
like,
you can
yeah.
listen when you
People-
want to.
yeah.
You
Exactly.
can listen on multiple platforms.
Yeah.
You can listen
sure.
when you're in the car.
Yeah,
On your
but
time.
everybody that listens to our shows, any of our shows, they had to go and find those shows.
Yeah, they're dedicated listeners.
they had to seek those shows
And
out.
The radio shows, like if you're Big Dog or whoever, right? Those are not dedicated. Those are background listeners. They're casuals, and they get
Yeah.
advertisers and all of that
And they
based
skip
on their
the ads. They skip
based
to the
on their
other stations.
metrics. We're gonna have dedicated listeners, people who actually care about us and who know us.
Yeah.
And it's kind of intimidating when you think about
Well, you look at your numbers.
putting this
right?
out on the
Yeah.
You look at your
If-
numbers. Even if you have like 10, 15 downloads. Like the way I read about it was like the way I think about that is like, what if you had 15 to 20 people in a room, and you're talking to 15 or 20 people in a room?
It's a big group.
Yeah.
For me.
That's
Yeah.
that's a pretty good amount of people. That was about as many people with that Rotary Club thing
Yeah.
that we did.
You know,
and
and if I listen to a morning radio show, I'm not learning anything.
Right.
I'm just being entertained.
this is Big
Yeah.
Dave and the fart in the morning. Pew, pew,
Yeah.
pew, pew. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
so it's like, but that's really the big thing, especially in the market that we're in. We talked about being, Beaumont famous, big people in a small pond, and big fish in a small pond rather. And that's part of the thing is that
we're not trying to auto
we're-
fillet either.
Yeah,
we're just-
it's just it's been interesting to figure out. It's been interesting because I've been trying to figure out because like I said before, I've been obsessed with this. And I've been trying to figure out like what it and people have been very positive, very supportive, and I think it does a lot for the people that listen.
Yeah.
It's for your listeners and ours, and it's just so weird to me that it's on a small scale. We're in a small town, small market,
Yeah.
all those things, but it's still something.
And we have-
it's technically blowing up.
Yeah, I don't know
Like,
if you've done this yet, but I mean, like we have Patreons. We have people that
Yeah.
pay us a few bucks a month because they just find value in what we do.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
think I'll
and
wait
it's-
till about 10 episodes, and because I have
Yeah.
a Patreon login.
Okay,
I just hadn't
yeah.
launched it yet.
And,
But
and dude, it's a huge honor, and I really suggest you do it. It feels weird in the beginning, but it really helps you out. So we have these Patreons, and now that we have people that are going out of their way and they're paying us like, maybe $5 a month to do the show. So that means they're invested. They find value in what we do. It really keeps us accountable. I'm like, he said before, we're like, we don't want to put this out because our Patreons deserve better.
Yeah.
And it's not many people. It's not much money at all. But just that little act of somebody like showing you that they appreciate
you're worth my Hulu account.
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
worth canceling my Hulu account so that I can give you $10.
It's a powerful feeling, and you'll be like, man, I got to get my shit together.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And I always love being a guest because as a guest, I talk more.
Yeah.
Because when I have guests, I kind of make it all about them. We want to hear their story, and I'm just kind of interjecting. And I always, on the drive home, you're always thinking about things you should have said. I should have said this. I should have said that. And you kind of overthink it. And this would have been a good zinger. But just make it about the guests when I'm the
What we
host
usually
chair.
tell guests is it's your episode.
Yeah.
And that's
Yes.
important. And I complimented you. The first few episodes that I edited of his is like, you're really good. And
It took us a long time to learn
learning
that,
to shut
yeah.
the fuck up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
basically
luckily
it.
with Damon West, he's kind of crafted a real tight.
I was also
20
going to say that
Yeah.
you get guests that are public speakers normally, so
Yeah,
you just sit there and just let them go, and I'm jealous of you. for
Yeah,
that.
so far they've kind of had that. John spoke before, Damon spoke before. He's great on stage, and so basically he was telling his story like he would on stage, with me interrupting every once in a while. And there were several stories in that book. The book goes into far much detail than his stage presence. It's crazy stories. I tried to get him to talk more about that one where his burglary crew stole a car. The car got impounded by the police, and it's in the impound yard. Had all their burglary tools in it. And all their prints and incriminating them, so they had to break into the police impound, steal the car out of police impound, and they did it. Like all this happened.
Oh,
And
jeez.
that's literally a scene in Gone in 60 Seconds
Yeah,
where the
it really
Mercedes
is.
are in police impound, and they're like, we got to break those cars out. And Nicolas Cage is like, they're in police impound. Like you're gonna break into the police. Yeah. We're gonna break in. That happened in his real
It's
life.
like
It's just-
meth is a hell of a drug.
Yeah. So that was where it all started. That's what
Man.
took him on the court.
That's a
he-
crazy story. That must be why. I mean,
So many things going
Yeah.
on for him, positive in his life, and he couldn't give it up fast enough for that particular drug.
Yeah.
And everyone else around him.
yeah, that's a powerful episode, man. And it's a really good reason to do a podcast. It's not even about yourself, but you're like highlighting that. You're highlighting him and his stories.
Yeah,
It's
there's
really
so
awesome.
many lives that he's changed over going to those D1 schools where you
Yeah.
have kids that are in a scholarship position and they've screwed up once or twice, and he's saying, "Look, you're about this far away from going down."
Because that was
the
his
road."
story. That was him.
Yeah.
Right.
Kinda, I mean,
And
those
he-
kind of
he-
things are like a roller coaster. You get
he-
to the top, and then once you hit that certain point, you just free fall.
He mentions how when he goes and talks, you're going to listen to him because he literally walked the walk, and he's not just a motivational speaker saying, "Hey, don't do this, don't do that." He's been there.
Yeah.
He went through all the fights in one of the roughest prison systems in Texas. At the Styles unit, maximum security.
Well, what can your listeners or our listeners have to look forward to, like, for the next year? Like we're halfway through the year.
Yeah, lay it out.
A little
a
over
bit.
halfway through the year. Like, what's your goals for this first year of Tyler Knows Everything?
Yeah, my goal is to stay consistent. So you got that new episode coming out every Saturday, so you know when to expect it.
Yeah.
It's kind of good for the weekend listeners that can get a jump start on it, and then you've got your Monday morning right around the corner if you're
You'll
listening
have it
to it on
ready
your
for you.
your commute or what
a good
have you.
time.
Some people listen to the first half on the way to work, the last half coming back from work. And I like how it's been 2 weeks and people are just now getting around to episode 1, but they're staying engaged. And so there's a long shelf life for it.
It's an
When
ultimate
you'll
shelf
see
life.
people going back too. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's
for
that's
sure.
kind of what we're doing right now with our stats, is that we see a lot of people are catching up basically, because we're 70 something episodes in,
Yeah.
but then you'll be there in no time.
Yeah.
like you're,
Yeah,
the way
I'm
you're
so-
cranking them out.
Do you have any?
man.
Do you have any like live events you plan on doing, or anything unconventional besides the podcast?
Yeah,
Something
definitely.
beyond the show.
Yeah, I want to do a launch party at some point,
Okay.
and it'll probably be a collaborative effort with some of the other.
Are we invited?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
for
cool.
sure.
Word.
Because
Cool.
what I want to do it after maybe 10 guests, because
Yeah.
I want those guests to kind of be the headline members.
We've been talking about that
that's-
forever.
yeah, we've been we have to. So like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the kind of big idea, and we might as well like kind of give it up now because since we're all thinking about it, is try to get as many guests as we possibly can, get a roster, and then throw a party somewhere.
And then if you've seen some of the more prominent podcasts, sometimes they do like a live episode.
Yeah.
Where they're on stage like Comic-Con or something. And I
Well,
think
we got that Beaumont Con coming. We're thinking about getting a booth.
Yeah, I
Getting
think that we
studio
can
booth.
all get to that point. I mean, there's so many things around Beaumont that don't cost a lot of money to promote yourself that are even less money when you collaborate with somebody.
Yeah.
Just like going to a convention and having a booth there and just spreading.
It's a low barrier to entry. Yeah.
You have to be known before you're needed. So you need people to know about you and spread your brand, and then people will find out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Chamber of Commerce groups in Southeast Texas are so inexpensive to get into. And there's really great tools. It's helped me tremendously. The Young Professionals of Southeast Texas, YPO.
Are we young for
We're not in the group. We
Not
don't-
like an officially group member,
Yeah.
but all the guests
Do we
are
qualify as young professionals?
Yeah, under
Yeah, we
40.
qualify.
Under
Yeah.
40.
Are we?
yeah.
Are we professional?
We qualify. So this sounds really sad.
Semi-pro, right?
So
Yeah.
I hate to
was
sound
digging
this
a
because
joke there.
this is going to be really pathetic, right? But every year I kind of like low key really hope that somebody nominates me for 40 under 40.
Oh,
You
we
know?
got to get you in there this year then, yeah.
I mean, they take all the pictures and stuff, and I could just like see me with a gi and like a headphone set and a whisk or something. And
Yeah.
like somebody
Yeah, that's kinda like
like
my-
I'm saying, it's really pathetic that I'm saying this,
Yeah,
but I do.
No, I would like
Because you have to be nominated.
My
I
goal
think.
for
You can't
next
nominate
year.
That's
yourself.
right, yeah.
My goal for next year is to have us all in the Southeast Texas Press Club.
Press club. Yeah.
That's what we need to do for sure. I remember you
Yeah.
mentioned that in the
Yeah,
past
we gotta do Press Club.
because we're media based.
Everybody got
Yeah.
like 30 awards. Like, what's up
Yeah,
with
we definitely got to do press club. That would really make a statement for the podcast
that? I think
community.
so. I think by
Yeah.
that's. I didn't want to do it this year because in the middle of the year it just happened. But
Yeah.
like, I'm more like we are.
We
this
are
is a,
media.
This is a professional studio.
Mhm.
We put out professional content, and I think we deserve to be there. So
And
it's
there's
kinda-
two Chamber of Commerces I want to
wanna be
join
ready.
with. I want to join as my podcast.
Okay,
Where
yeah.
you can join a chamber as a member, an individual, or a business.
business.
Yeah.
And so I'll be
Organization.
joining as a business, but I want to tell them, and they're always anxious to get more members.
Yeah.
And I would say I only want to join if you'll announce me as your first podcast member, because
Well, you need to get us in on that.
yeah, because there's no podcast that's a member of the chamber.
Yeah.
This is gonna be the first one.
Yeah.
And I'll say, I'll join right now, sign the check. If you'll announce me on social media, hey, we just signed up our first ever podcast, and then you give my page a share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said I'll join right now. And so
Yeah.
I think that's they're not gonna have a problem with that.
You're,
They'll be
you're a lot better with that stuff. Than
yeah,
us,
they'll be
man.
happy to do
Yeah.
it. One of them I'm on the board for, so I'm
Right.
sure they'll help me out.
Well, we have a 2 in our name, so can we be the second Chamber of Commerce?
yeah.
A 2.
All right. So tell people how they can find you, where to go. Are you on every platform?
Yeah,
How
there's
do people
there's so many pages on social media and so many platforms that I did as an experiment. I Googled Tyler Knows Everything podcast, and as soon as you Google it, you're gonna have everything right in front of you.
Yeah. Okay.
So all you got to do is go to Google, most popular search engine, Tyler Knows Everything podcast.
Everything podcast.
Yeah. And just like you guys are Renaissance men, if, check out my logo. It's kind of a little pun, I guess. I
You're the
took it
Vitruvian man.
seriously. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Leonardo da Vinci's, the man in the circle, and I cross-cut my body for all the different things I'm into. So there's a suit, there's a smartphone, there's workout gear,
And a Mjolnir.
there's a dumbbell, there's Mjolnir, the Thor's hammer, there's a beaker, like
Yeah.
or an Erlenmeyer flask,
Yeah.
for science. There's camo pants, which not for military. That's more like outdoorsy.
Yeah,
Is the camo
Should have got
pants.
the
And
zip off pants. That's
yeah.
that's
There's
more-
Apollo Creed's
Nerd swag.
Apollo Creed's boxers.
The
American flag
shorts?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
the Rocky shorts from Rocky 4. So check that out if you haven't seen it. That's kind of my main logo. But I did a professional photo shoot in the parking garage of Christus St. Elizabeth because it kind of has dramatic lighting.
Yeah.
Luke Malden is a fantastically talented photographer.
Okay.
And so I actually had to change into each one of those outfits.
Uh-huh.
And the stairway or
and
something?
stand,
Yeah.
he's
In
on
that
the
same way,
tripod
yeah.
and I stood on a piece of tape and I would change into the outfits and then he kind of photoshopped it all together.
Okay.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So, all right, guys, that's Tyler. He's on social media. He has Instagram. Check it out. Facebook. He has his own Facebook group, just like we do, where you can really easily talk to him. He has the Tyler Knows Everything podcast
And just
Facebook
slip into his
group.
DMs, man. He's a really
Yeah.
nice guy.
Ask me anything.
He's sending them DMs. Y'all send it back to him. You can check him out on all platforms. He's on Spotify, YouTube, Google, iTunes, everything.
Yeah.
Play music, all that
And
stuff.
I desperately need more Twitter followers because I never took Twitter seriously.
We
But
had to
this-
do
this isn't a
it.
Twitter area. That's the
That's
thing.
right.
Yeah.
So everybody in Southeast Texas is mostly on Facebook,
Right.
and younger crowd on Instagram, and there's not a lot of
Not
tweets.
a lot of
So I
tweets.
would love to have a better presence on Twitter, it's out there.
Yeah.
Tyler Troutman TX. But yeah, just we'll see how it goes.
Well,
Check
awesome,
it out,
dude.
man,
Thanks
yeah.
for coming by. Thanks for hanging out. I mean, I know you're in the studio all
Yeah.
the time, so thanks
Yeah.
for taking the time to talk to us.
We kind of
again.
talked about
Another
podcasting.
return guest.
Yeah, we kind of
dude.
talked about podcasting most of the time here and our shared space and all that.
Yeah.
But also, man, it's been over a year since you've been on here at first,
Right.
and we
Episode
yeah.
23, if you go back and listen to episode 23, it's pretty much nothing about
We
podcasting.
were in
No.
our dining room. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it's a great episode. I love the flow of it and everything, but in this episode, man, we popped some champagne in the front,
Yeah.
and it's just kind of a celebration of where we were and where we're coming to. And
Yeah, later on down the road,
Yeah.
I'll definitely have to flip their script. So I
Sure.
have an episode with you guys on
Oh,
my
yeah.
channel. Yeah.
Sure. That'd
I
be
love the
weird.
crossover.
Okay.
all right, guys. Well, thank you very
Thanks.
much for listening. Come
All
back
right.
and see us.
See you later.
Just turned into a Southern grandpa there. Thank you. Come back and see us.
Tell your mom and Danny seen us. High tea, low tea, high tea, low tea, high tea.
I got low tea.
Sweet tea, unsweet tea. All right, thanks, Tyler. Thanks for coming on the show. Be sure to go check out his podcast. It's on any major podcast platform, YouTube as well. He actually does he does video of it, so you can actually see his face and see all of them talking. It's really cool. I really like it. I'm really happy he's here, so just go check it out.
Special shout out to our patrons over on Patreon: Jordan Stringer, Lance Killian, Brian Castino, Doug Waldrop, Michael Sarr, Ben McClellan, and Randy Edwards. We really appreciate you guys. With y'all's help, y'all really help us do this.
Yes.
And you've
Help
also
us pay these bills. You basically pay our internet bill every year. Or
It's
every
true.
month.
And you also not only help our podcast, but you also help the other podcasts working out of their studios. Y'all are the MVPs. If you would like to be super homie like our other friends we just mentioned, just head on over to patreon.com/A to Z BMT, where you can pledge like $1 or a reoccurring $5, whatever.
$1.
Yeah,
$1.
that's it.
Next episode, this is kind of like a simulcast thing we're doing this week, is going to be box content. We're talking to those guys. We had 3 of the guys on, and we talked about their format. The first half is an interview style, but the second half is going to be more of their format. So it
Yeah,
should be
we're going to do
interesting.
our podcast in the style
and they're
of
going
theirs.
to take that second half and edit it into their version of it, and this is going to be an interesting little mashup thing. So stay tuned.
And also, don't forget that we're here. We're here to take requests. We're listening to you guys. And if you have a guest that you think would be a perfect fit for our podcast, somebody that you think would be interesting, whether you know them or not, send us that suggestion. You can get at us at feedback@A to Z podcast.com. That's our email address. You can also just slide in any one of our DMs, the show's DMs, mine or Zach's
Comment
or whatever.
on a page, comment on an episode.
You can talk to us while you're drunk at the
drop
bar.
in
I
the
don't
group.
care.
Yeah, yell at us at the bar.
But yeah, we're here to listen. But anyways, thanks for coming in this week. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time.